Good afternoon. I love trains, and over the years I've really come to appreciate Amtrak. So a little while back I got on Amtrak up in Connecticut where it was quiet, and I ended up here in Union Station in Washington, D.C. where it was bustling. And how did I get there? The Northeast Regional, baby. It's a great way to get around the East Coast. Join me, Terry Dixon, for an adventure for anyone as I give you a taste of what it's like to take this amazing train. I got on at Bridgeport. I got off at Washington, D.C. It takes about 5.5 hours. There are no transfers. You have plenty of leg room. You have places to put your snacks. You have a tray table if you like it. I had a window seat, which is always my preference. Now you will see throughout this the windows are kind of dirty. Sorry. You have outlets to plug in your devices. You have plenty of cushions for your head, overhead storage for your stuff. As you can see, everybody's comfortable. You even have safety regulations. Now, from Bridgeport into New Rochelle and then in the south for a lot of the way, you share the tracks with commuter trains. It's Metro North on the Connecticut and New York end. It is MARC from Maryland, VRE from Virginia, and some other things on the other end around Washington, D.C., as well as all the SEPTA stuff and whatnot around Philadelphia. Now, along the way, between New Rochelle and Penn Station in New York City has decided to build a new Metro North track. I mentioned that in one of my blogs. And as you can see along here, there's a lot of what looks like debris. They're adding 4 Metro North stations along that part of the Amtrak route going down the east side of the Bronx into the city from New Rochelle. So if you take the train, you're going to see a lot of stuff just laying around. You might wonder what's going on. That's construction for new stations. And one of my favorite parts of this, you do share the area, but not the actual tracks with freight trains. Sometimes they use certain parts, but not often. So basically in here right now is just Amtrak. But Amtrak goes over what's called the Harlem River and the Hellgate Strait here. And I'll tell you what, I am going to return to Randall's and Ward's Islands, which you're seeing below there with all the ball fields. It's a really interesting place. I'm going to go back down there this year. I'm going to get some good video for you. And as you're going along here, you can see how high up we are there. We're going over the most amazing bridge called the Hellgate Bridge. It's a beautiful piece of artwork. I did a little video about it a long time ago, but like I said, I think I'm going to do a new one this year, and you're really going to appreciate it. And then you get over into Queens, Brooklyn area, and you find yourself headed into New York's finest Penn Station. It is underground, so you got to go down in the tunnel, across the East River, and soon you find yourself at Penn Station. Now, Penn Station is one of the biggest hubs on the East Coast for Amtrak. So here you will be. Now this is New York. Now this is where it starts to get crowded. I got on in Bridgeport for a reason, because you see places like Washington, D.C., which I will tell you about as now I'm doing the headed back part. But if you get on north of New York to go to Washington, you will find yourself in a less crowded situation. New York, Philadelphia, even Washington, D.C., it gets pretty crowded. So at any rate, I had my trip. 3 days later, I headed back from Union Station. Now, Union Station is above ground, as are a bunch of the other stations. The only really underground stations you're going to run into are Boston and New York. The main stops on this line are Boston, New Haven, Penn Station, Philadelphia, and Washington. There are 53 stops on these lines. They have various end games. You can catch connectors in Springfield and Worcester, Mass. You can take it from Boston. On the other end, you can stop at Washington, or you can go down to Newport News, Norfolk, or Roanoke. So there's a lot going on here. 53 stations, 5.5 hours from Bridgeport down to Washington. But as you can see, the scenery is worth it. Now this is on the way back, and you have a lot of water views. They might have power lines in them and various other odds and ends, but a lot of really nice views. You have these seashore towns over in Delaware. Yes, the train goes through Delaware, that are right there where they can go to the marina, get on their boats, and go. So you have a lot of pretty scenery along the way. And I really enjoyed the ride. I mean, it was early spring, so you didn't really have leafy trees or blooming flowers, but it was really, really nice. And here, coming into Wilmington, my apologies for the dirty windows, but coming into Wilmington, you can see that while it's a busy, bustling city, it's also kind of cozy for, a major city. And it is, once again, it's not a minor hub. Now, Amtrak in these minor hubs, you're almost like a commuter train, folks. So get your stuff, get off, or make sure you're there waiting on it to get on. It's only going to stay a few minutes, and then it's going to go on to its next destination. The major ones that I mentioned, it's going to stay a bit longer. Sometimes it'll stay up to 20 minutes, but just be aware, if you're getting on or off at a smaller station, like I did in Bridgeport, Connecticut, you're going to want to be ready. You're going to get on. You're going to want to be ready and have your stuff ready so you can get off. That's just how it works. So what can I say? I remember going back on this train and heading into Philadelphia, which is what we're doing right here. Once again, this is an above ground station. You only have 2 stations or 2 cities that you have stations in that are below ground. This may look below ground, but in Philadelphia it's not. But when we pulled into this station, they reminded us to not be using the seat next to us for anything, to have our stuff stored properly, because while 90 people were getting off that train in Philadelphia, 160 were getting on. This is commuter land. People use these trains. And as you can see, you always have, something to look at out the window. Even if you're going into Trenton, like I said, there's a SEPTA train. You're going to see that stuff as you go along. But it is a great, great ride. It's way better than flying up and down the East Coast, and with everything going on, I can't recommend the train enough. No, I don't work for Amtrak, but I do love taking trains. And you always have something to look at out that window, even if you're just going by and watching the planes land at Newark, or you're going by the Meadowlands, going over a river, watching New York coming up there. It's always a great ride. There is a snack bar on board. Maybe someday I'll get to one of those. But it is a great ride. Bridgeport to Washington, each way about 5.5 hours, and a great ride. So once again, whether you do spend your time in the snack car or having snacks and having something to drink, or you're just hanging out in your seat, have a ride on Amtrak. I promise you, you'll never want to fly again.